I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another night of iRacing action here on the National Racing Network, where tonight the stars and cars of the TNT Shock Series will be taking it to the Milwaukee Mile. My name is Chris Graham. Thank you very much for hanging out with us here this evening. Looks like our graphics didn't update, but we'll get that fixed for you real quick. Joined in the booth, as always, by Mr. Kylo Ciacelli. He'll be doing the in-car reporting for us tonight. Special guest in the booth, my normal Wednesday night partner, P. Bizzle, Patrick Byrne, in the booth with us here as well. Looking forward to this one here, and Kylo will come to you to start off the coverage. Milwaukee, this place is a little bit cooler today than some of the drivers might have expected. It really is leading to some potential handling issues and really all sorts of stuff that these drivers are having to deal with.
Yeah, just an uncomfortable setup environment, sounds like it. Lots of guys trying things they don't normally do and liking things that they don't normally run. So it's a little bit of an unknown. We'll see how these longer runs go if we get them going. And tire wear will definitely be in effect, especially when you're tucked up behind somebody, because passing might be difficult as well.
Yeah, and Patrick, one of the things we're going to have to keep an eye on tonight, the fuel mileage. When we get the yellows, they're all but guaranteed that they're going to happen at this point. Milwaukee is a difficult place to run at. So when you stop, can you possibly make this a one-stop race? There's a lot of dynamics that are going to come into play here. And these drivers, they don't use spotters. They've got crew chiefs, so they've got a little bit of help. But there's a whole lot of mental gymnastics math you're doing here.
Yeah, it gets very, very tough, especially at a place like Milwaukee. The caution can come out of nowhere, and usually you don't get the big pileups here. You just get someone stepping on their foot and spinning the car around in the mid-corner. So, kind of curious to see what everyone's strategy is. Maybe, hey, let's pit early, get some tires on this thing, just so we don't have that snap oversteer issue. Although, I was hearing from a couple of the drivers that the oversteer issue is happening on cold tires. So maybe you might not want to take tires. You know, you're happy with the rubber you've got on it, even if it's very terrible, at least it's warm.
Yeah, there's a lot that we're going to have to unpack here over the course of the night. 50 minutes as we're following along here with Stephen C. Thompson, and he is, to this point, quickest in the session with a hot lap time of 26.769 as we are just about down to the end of the practice session. Drivers are getting a couple of laps in qualifications. A couple of weeks ago at the New Smyrna Speedway, Wes Shire getting the win by 1 second over Andrew Berry and 1 lap over Brian LaBarge in third. That was a case of the two best and then best in class for everybody else. It's going to be interesting to see if that plays out this way tonight, Kylo.
Yeah, I don't know. Looking at the practice results, the field is very, very close here. Lots of guys in that high 26, very low 27 range. In fact, the slowest guy on track did a 27.2. Fastest was a 26.7. So half a second between the entire field here is not a lot.
Picking up James Watson, the points leader entering tonight's race. I don't think I've ever said that about James Watson before, but we're going to say it tonight. 45 points. He's got a 2-point lead over Stephen C. Thompson, your quick man in practice. Andrew Berry, Brian Labarge, Wes Shire, your top 5 in points. Shire and Labarge are tied for 4th. Shire gaining 15 positions after last week's races. We've got Watson making his run here in qualifications. Top 14 in practice, covered by 0.3 of a second. This is going to be absolutely insane to watch some of these laps come in. Pretty solid field here tonight as well. 19 cars making up the entry list here this evening. Lap number 1 for Watson is going to be a 28.3, 27.55 for Jason Owens, 27.17 for Jason Miller. Vic Aldrich going to come in at a 27.23. 4 cars already on the board. Lap number 2 is going to be the quick one, though, as Brian Labarge jumps up to 3rd quick. Watson on the bottom of the racetrack, exiting turns 3 and 4. He will come across the line, be the one to set the standard. He goes quick time, 27.058, 27.05 with an 8. Jason Owens at a 27.132. These laps are going to start coming in absolutely hot and heavy now. Andrew Berry up to 2nd quick at a 27.124. Owens at that 27.13, 27.15 for Brian Labarge in 4th. Following along now with Nee Camargo, Nagisa Yoshikawa to 2nd quick. 2nd car in the 27 flats, 27.087. Lap number 2 for Nee Camargo. He will cross the start-finish line and move to 7th quick at a 27.228. New quick time, Andrew Berry. 26.992 seconds. Only driver in the 26s to this point here tonight. And right now, we can kind of take a little bit of a breath. There's only 3 cars left to take a lap. One of those is Kylo Ciacelli. He will be starting from the rear one way or the other. Also waiting to see Mark Dillon on the racetrack and Shadow Jesus Ben Carswell. My goodness. Intense stuff here in qualifying. Taking a look, the gap, 1/4 of a second back to 10th place, Zach Nurenberger. If you want to go to 1/3 of a second, you got 12th place, Stephen C. Thompson. Ben Carswell now heading out on, well, he was heading out onto the racetrack. Now he's going to reset himself in that pizza at the Pagoda number 48 with the Al Unser Jr. helmet again this week. I like that look. Something, Kylo, we're going to have to talk with you about as one of the drivers here. The pit exit lane is ridiculous. It's bumpy. It dips its way out into turn 1. It really can be a mess trying to get yourself out of the pit lane.
Yeah, massive bumps and that not as big as you think, but still big enough curb on the outside, especially when you come out with fresh tires and low pressures. Your car is going to be a little bit lower. Can very easily center bottom out on the curb there and run back into the track. It happened once or twice in practice with guys just practicing their out laps. So that's got to be paid attention to as well. Don't get that penalty on the exit because that'll kill your race as well. About a 40-second stop and go penalty.
Yeah, that's a great point there. And Patrick, oh, there we see it out of Ben Carswell. Way loose off of turn number 4. I'm about to talk about it. It's like the commentator's curse working by ESP here. This is really a bit of a mess. If the car is on cold tires, it just does not want to grip on corner exit.
No, you got to be very mindful of that. You might even want to build just a specific qualifying setup that is a little bit tighter, maybe a little bit looser in the differential. Just so when you reapply that power, the car doesn't want to step out on you. You could see almost in the mid-corner there having to go for just a touch of counter steer. That was a little sketchy.
So Carswell finally going to get on the lap, and actually he will not get on the lap at all as he is working lap number 2.4 at this point. So Carswell going to be coming from the back, as is Mark Dillon and Kylo Ciacelli. As we mentioned, qualifications are over. Andrew Berry will be your quick timer here this evening for tonight's TNT Shock Series race. So field going to get ready to head out on to the grid here. And, man, I'll tell you what, I am really looking forward to this one. 50 minutes in length. That's a big key here, Patrick. You're playing this for time. You're not playing this for necessarily making it to a set number of laps or running the race distance that way.
Yeah, and it really screws with your head, but it doesn't. I almost like a timed race better because I know exactly how long the race is going to be. You know, I made it 10 minutes so far. I can kind of work in minutes instead of laps. 10 minutes so far, I've used this much fuel. It's all been green flag conditions. Okay, so I can do 10 minutes on 4 gallons of fuel. And then you throw a caution in there, you refill the car up and go, well, if I can do 10 minutes on 4 gallons, I've got 8 gallons in the tank, I can do another 20 minutes. For me, the math, it's a lot easier than with laps, but if all these guys are used to running lap races, then it can get a little tricky.
Let's take a look at the starting grid for tonight's race. We're only going to have 1 lap behind the iRacing safety car, and they are already rolling. Andrew Barry, James Watson on road number 1. Nagisa Yoshikawa and Wes Shire on road number 2. Jason Owens, Brian Lamarge on row 3. Jason Miller, Nee Camargo on row 4. Vic Aldrich, Zach Nurenberger on row 5. Mike Long, Stephen C. Thompson on row number 6. Not where Thompson wants to be starting in terms of his championship aspirations. Row number 7 going to have Alex Teeter and Simon Fell. A little bit of a surprise to see those two guys towards the back of the pack. Rick Cleary, Peter Donchak on row number 8. Then we're down to the cars that did not qualify. Kylo Ciacelli and Mark Dillon, along with Ben Carswell at the back of the field. 19 cars for 50 minutes in length. Field making their way through turns 3 and 4. The pace car will make the hard left-hand turn, and as always, race fans, the start of this one going to be all yours. One lap going to be very quickly in the books, and it will belong to Andrew Barry over Nagisa Yoshikawa, James Watson, Wes Shire, and Jason Owens. Kylo Ciacelli with a monster first lap. He's up 6 positions, already running in 11th. A little bit of side-by-side action towards the back of the pack as well. Ben Carswell battling with Peter Donchak. Also have Simon Fell battling here. Looks like Kyla making another pass. This is going to put him up to the 10th position. There you see that red and white car there entering turn number 1. Good run thus far early on for Kylo Ciacelli. Alex Teeter battling Simon Fell off of turn number 2. Now I would guess, Patrick, this is sort of where you're going, all right, I want to settle in. I made up a little ground. I lost a little ground, whatever it is. 50 minutes is a long race on the iRacing platform. The normal Indy Pro 2000 races run about a half hour or so. This is almost a double-length race. You really need to settle in and start logging a bunch of laps.
I don't even think the real-life Indy Pro races are this long. But yeah, you got to treat this almost like you would an A or B class official NASCAR race, where you want to save the equipment, keep everything to the end. All your goal is right now is just keep yourself in the lead lap. You know there's going to be a caution, just don't be in it.
Michael Long with a big move to the outside off of turn number 4. He goes 2 for 1. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Picking up to the 12th position. Battle for the race lead. Well, Andrew Barry holding on to the lead, but second place, James Watson. He's got a hornet's nest behind him. Nagisa Yoshikawa outside Wes Shire. Jason Owens looking down to the inside. Yoshikawa's already lost 1 spot down the front stretch. He's going to lose another by the time they exit turn number 2. A little bit of a twitch there out of Wes Shire. I'll tell you what, Patrick, that's telling me these guys still don't necessarily have tires all the way up to where they want temperature-wise.
No, in this car I found it takes about 4 or 5 laps to get the tires really up to temperature. And even then, there's still more to be gained from the car, but you quit noticing it so much in lap times just because of the wear.
Taking a look at the weather conditions, 74 degrees the ambient temperature. Winds going to be out of the west at 13 miles an hour. 84 degree track temperature. Partly cloudy skies, so we'll see a little bit of an increase in track temp as the race goes on. As Yoshikawa finally settles back in front of Wes Shire. Back behind Brian Labarge, Jason Miller, we're thinking about getting side by side, but Labarge trying to get back up under the attenuator of Owens off at 2. Owens going to make the dive into 3, off of 4. What can he do with it? Well, nothing yet. This really a case that I would imagine a little bit of, you can kind of keep the momentum up a little bit on the outside of the racetrack. You're almost like the lap times end up kind of squaring off. The inside's a little bit shorter, the outside's a tick faster, and it all just kind of works out in a wash by the end of the lap.
Yeah, because with the outside line, you're getting such a run down that straightaway. It almost makes it just as good, and you're not wearing the tires as much. Why you're not running the outside this early in the race, I'm not sure.
Oh, Owens may have clipped the safer barrier at the exit of turn number 2. Just back behind him, Nick Camargo looking inside of Brian Labarge. Also going to have Jason Miller looking inside of Owens. Camargo able to complete the pass easily. Watson still holding off Yoshikawa. Let's pick up our in-race reporter here, Kylo Ciacelli, doing a fantastic job, up 8 spots from where he started the race. And Kylo, we heard Patrick and I discussing a little bit about tire wear and how you're going to manage that. What's the thought process here of trying to conserve tires versus running a high lane? Does that put any extra stress on it? Is tire wear going to be a big concern tonight?
Stint 1, I think I'm going to try and push as much as I can. I already grabbed 8 positions, so that's really good. So I'm going to try and get as much track position as I can and then worry about saving later.
I like the thought process. Go like hell now, then see how the race shakes out. Aggressive until you need the race to come to you. Yoshikawa around Watson, so it's going to be Berry, Yoshikawa, Watson, Shire, Owens, the top 5. A little bit deeper back in the pack here. Let's pick up Ben Carswell and Simon Fell. Carswell working to the inside of the racetrack. Simon in that purple and blue 256 machine. He's going to see that gap open up a little bit. Mark Dillon fighting with Mike Long. Dillon in the Army, U.S. Army colors, in the 83 down on the inside of the racetrack. He'll get the pass completed there fairly easily. We're going to move back towards the front of the field here as Watson and Wes Shire are going to battle. Wes Shire getting down to the inside. Watson giving up a little bit of ground here, down 2 spots from where he started. Love watching these cars go side by side around the Milwaukee Mile. Dear IndyCar and Anderson Promotions, put these back on the schedule, please.
Either this or New Hampshire.
Both would be preferable. And quite frankly, they need to go back to Pocono too, but that horse has been well filleted at this point.
Beaten, tenderized, filleted, and served up hot and fresh at your local Taco Bell.
Yes. Nick Camargo, Jason Miller, Kylo Ciacelli is who we're following along with here. One of the things we have not discussed yet in depth is the pit strategy. Hearing the drivers could go about 45, 46 laps, about 22 minutes or so. Makes it a 2-stop race. if we get 4 caution flags in the first half of the race, that probably pushes us far enough past the halfway point that you could make this a one-stop race. If you were counting on that to be your strategy, though, maybe time to rethink those plans of making this a one-stopper. And Patrick, that's kind of all part of the game here, is adjusting to how the race develops. It's kind of a unique feature of timed racing.
Yeah, it's always fun because the pressure doesn't come on with just a specific lap number. You can't put your finger on when the pressure's going to come on. You put it with the timer. But even though it shows 41 minutes left, you might only have half an hour racing left to go. We might get a couple of cautions in there. Or, you know, we might get 6 minutes to go, get a caution, and you'll have only got a minute left. So there's no idea. None of these drivers have an idea when the number comes in that they've got to push, which F1's strategy on that is very different and it's very fun.
Continuing to follow this battle between Ciacelli, Miller, and Lamarge. This is the tightest one on the racetrack right now. Long and Donchak also battling. That's going to be for 15th and 16th, a little bit deeper in the field. Things starting to close in at the front. Let's see, Jason Owens having to look inside of West Shire. Owens going to try to cross up a little bit. He gets himself way to the outside. Kind of that Jimmy Johnson diamond the corner off. Way high, pinch it low, slide it off wide, and try to make some ground back up. But he gave back about 2/10 there through turns 1 and 2.
You've got Jimmy Johnson diamond backwards. Jimmy Johnson
I'm sorry.
with
Yes,
inner
the
low.
pinch. Right.
Yep.
Yes, the pinch and then way up to the outside wall. It's an inverted diamond.
It's always funky watching him at Martinsville.
Yeah, the kind of actually that's kind of my driving style, is very shallow on corner entry. The car just, it has to wash out, and then you're able to kind of grab the throttle and get back after it. But I'm not nearly as good as a 7-time champ is.
Well, I don't think any of us are. That's why we're here playing iRacing.
That would be correct.
And not on the 82nd floor of a New York skyscraper.
Trouble for Mike Long, having a bit of an off-track incident. Let's take a look here at the Hot Shoe Racewear Instant Replay. See what happened off of turn number 2. Oh, little twitch. I think he was able to save it. Didn't look like there was any contact with the wall. So we'll go right back to the view here. Looking for anybody that's kind of in the comers or goers department. Jason Owens actually over the 5-lap average, very, very quick. 27.060 for the 15-lap average. 27.152 over the last 5. Nagisa Yoshikawa losing ground to Andrew Berry. He's about a 10th and a half slower, about half a tenth, I should say, slower than Andrew Berry is. It's not a huge change, but it's enough that you can kind of just see them disappearing out of your front windscreen.
Yeah, it always sucks when you're watching someone slowly pull away from you. The whole time you're just sitting there wondering, what the hell am I doing wrong?
Grab you another replay here. Jason Owens coming around West Shire. Kind of bottled up behind Nagisa Yoshikawa. May have been a little bit of dirty air on corner entry, but that allowed Owens to come through cleanly off at turn number 4 and complete the pass before they ever got back to the start-finish line. Wonder if Wes didn't maybe burn the tires up a little bit here, because he lost the spot to Owens, and now James Watson's going to be right up underneath. The big thing here, Patrick, at least is what I'm seeing, is there's a lot of dirty air that could be involved here, and how you manage that off the corners is going to be really important.
Yeah, and Kylo, I'm not asking for any setup secrets, but I figure at a track like Milwaukee, you're going to be running a bit higher downforce than you would at some other tracks.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely running high downforce here this week. A lot of the times this car will run no downforce at all and just straight line speed and pray in the corners. And this week we actually have some grip in the corners, so it is a little bit of a change from normal.
So with that downforce, you're going to be getting a little bit of dirty air there, and it's going to push you up in the mid corner.
Shire.
Oh yeah, 3 to 4 points behind the guy in front, and it's gone. Sorry to cut you off there, Graham. Side by side in front of me.
Yes, West Shire down to the inside of Jason Owens. He wants that third position back. Looks like he's going to get it. James Watson trying to sneak his way through. Ooh, everybody's sliding up the racetrack as we are 36 minutes remaining here in this one.
Now, you keep saying James Watson. I was looking for his usual color scheme. And the only way I could figure out that car behind Jason Owens' Watson was the radioactive piss-colored helmet sitting there. What kind of scheme is he running tonight?
That is a Pizza at the Pagoda scheme, our IndyCar podcast here on the National Racing Network. James, one of the hosts. Ben Carswell running it as well. Very nice black, kind of some deep copper colors, a little spec mapping stuff going on with the flames down the side of it. You know, flame grilled, nice coal oven pizza. It's good stuff.
Now, I don't eat pizza. You might call me a commie for that. But I can definitely get on the flame grilled, like, brick oven bandwagon. I walk past Ray's Original Pizza on the Upper West Side, New York. Every time I walk past that place, I'm just like, this place smells fantastic. That's the same way with any old school style pizzeria. I might not eat stuff, I might not like the stuff. The smell is beautiful. Excelente.
You are seriously a weird dude. Nagisio Shikawa,
Yeah,
big dive off of turn number 2 down to the inside. West Shire's going to possibly lose a position here to Jason Owens. Give you the look from the overhead NRN drone as they go down the front straightaway. Man, you can see how much.
FAA license?
I tell you what, just a little bit of air on the front. West Shire entering the corner on the outside of Owens. Just a little bit of air on the right front wing of that car. He absolutely was able to pull up. And that's the tiny little adjustments that these guys are having to make. Only about 10 laps or so away from the first cycle of pit stops. We're going to have to talk about it a little bit here. We talked about pit exit, Patrick, but pit entry here at Milwaukee is not easy. You're full blast off of turn 4 and making a hard left-hand turn while grabbing the brakes. Incredibly easy to get the car looped around backwards on pit lane.
It's incredibly easy just to miss pit lane. There's no access road, no nothing coming off of 3 and 4. It's just, hey, pit road's over here, and that's kind of the way it used to be done, and that's one thing I love about Milwaukee. This is a 100-year-old racetrack, and not much has changed in those 100 years.
Yeah, it's actually one of the oldest continually operating racetracks in the country. Obviously, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is famous for that. Also, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. And there's a couple others that are kind of in the same early 1900s territory. But
I believe the only way you really get any continuously longer running racetracks is if you move over to horse racing. I mean, right around the corner from where I'm currently broadcast from, we've got Belmont Park, where the Belmont Stakes is. You've got the Kentucky Derby, and I think that's it.
Hold on to it, Wes.
Bicentennial tracks.
Wow. That was a big save off of turn number 2, coming around the car of, looks like Rick Cleary. That will be the second car going one lap down. Also, Peter Donchak a lap down.
Yeah, lap traffic can be tough here because normally, you know, you might ask lap traffic to move high. You might, you know, just assume they will. Here you go way up high, there's no grip, so everyone is fighting for that same piece of real estate coming into the corner. You have two options, the low line and the mid line. The midline isn't really that much higher.
Kylo, something maybe to think about here, because the second stop is going to be, you're kind of in the window where you could stop now. Oh, hold on to another big bobble. Wes Shire way up towards the outside wall. Nice save for Wes. Kylo going to be catching in on him down the back straightaway. But Kylo, does the thought ever come into mind that maybe you try a short pit here or something along those lines to just kind of shake things up a little bit?
As much as I'd love to tell you everything like I normally would, I can't tonight, Chris. We got to keep some things secret.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm telling you nothing. Seeing a fantastic comment coming in. Dave Sparks saying the only greatest threat to Andrew Berry at this moment is his own pit entry abilities. Wow.
I wouldn't even call investment to his pit entry abilities. I just say it's his forgetfulness to hit the damn button that slows the car down.
Oh, Kylo trying the strategy game and he overshot the pit box. I should have known to cut to him when I asked him the question and he says no comment. Ciacelli going to be down and away, but a little bit of a miscue on pit lane. 7.6 seconds, the time of the stop. He is back out on the racetrack, going one lap down in the process. And Patrick, there's that very tough pit exit. That's not easy to get off a pit lane here.
No, it's very narrow, and it kind of shoots you up right in the way of traffic.
Michael Long also going to be on the pit lane. New personal best lap for Mark Dillon. He's up 7 spots to run in the 11th position, as is Ben Carswell. Kylo able to show enough pace here to keep himself. Oh, race leader is on pit lane. Andrew Berry on pit lane this time, 43 laps is the tally here for Andrew Berry. Wonder if we're not going to see a little bit shorter range as you see Nagisa Yoshikawa coming down pit lane as well. Zach Nurenberger, Rick Cleary on pit lane. Down and away goes your race leader. Berry, 6.7 seconds time of the stop. Good work there for the crew of car number 1. Tell you what, Kylo giving Jason Owens all he can handle. He'll be down inside into turn 1 this time, grabbing a little bit of curb, a little bit of apron down on the inside. James Watson on pit lane. Let's pick up the stop for the 39. Oh, and he way overshot the box. Watson just flat missed his pit box by a mile. Goes full Austin Powers, gets the car back into the box. Vic Aldrich is down and away. Simon Fell down and away as well. Watson gets his service completed as Ben Carswell comes down pit lane this time. And Carswell overshoots the box. Everybody is missing their pit boxes. Here comes Jason Owens, Jason Miller, Brian Labarge. Trouble on the racetrack. Caution is out. Caution on the speedway. Trouble for Rick Cleary.
And this is going to work out perfectly for those guys stuck in the pit lane right now. They're going to get back up to the front of the field, and nobody else is going to have to pit.
There's Owens down and away off the pit lane. Let's take a look here and see what happened to Rick Cleary. Cold tires, middle of turns 1 and 2. Looks like the car's just going to snap out loose on him. Backs it into the outside wall.
He keeps the rear wing on it, though. I think that car will be perfectly fine.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge hit, but I'll tell you what. This is going to absolutely play some games with who is left on the lead lap. Wes Shire is your race leader. Trying to see who else is going to come around. For some of these guys like Kylo Ciacelli, the strategy game going to play out very well. I believe Andrew Berry will inherit the race lead. Yes, he will. Berry, Yoshikawa, Owens, I believe, will be your top three. As we see everybody cycling through on timing and scoring, and the names going ballistic at the top of your screen. So Wes Shire down and away. He is going to go from running in second, third, fourth for a large chunk of this race back to the 8th position on the restart. Andrew Berry will be your race leader, followed by Nagisa Yoshikawa, Jason Owens. Well, maybe. Let's see. Looks like it's actually placing Kylo. Yeah, see, I think some of these guys were caught a lap down by the caution. Or at least where they were in relation to everybody else. And Kylo, this kind of brings up the point that the reason we were asking you the question. By short pitting, you're able to make up not only a ton of ground on the racetrack, but you've also now got some very quick cars that are going to be stuck behind you for the restart.
Yeah, it's really confusing what's going on. I think I'm in third place now. I was the first car right in front of Wes when that caution came out, so I was just about to get caught a lap down and get the waiver on instead of being in front of him, which I think was huge for my positioning here. So we'll see how it goes. We got 2 to go this time by the green, so we'll see where everybody is lined up. I think Andrew's like the third car in line, but he's the leader right now, so I don't know what they're going to do about that.
Yeah, I think the way that gets handled, I don't remember if they do the wave around or not. I think iRacing does that automatically, don't they, Patrick?
Yeah, iRacing should wave everyone around as soon as the lights on the pace car go out.
Seeing Mike Long, Peter Donchak making their way onto pit lane. Rick Cleary looks like he may be out of this race. On pit lane for 52 plus seconds at this point. So lights are out. The lap cars have gotten the wave around. Berry, Yoshikawa, Ciacelli, Nurenberger, Owens, the top 5. Some interesting names up here towards the front of the field. The cars with the freshest tires, that's going to be Wes Shire. He will be back in the 7th position, but you're only talking 7 to 10 laps for these guys just ahead. Nice strategy call for Kylo Ciacelli. He's your hard charger, up 14 to this point in the race. James Watson, the mistake on pit road cost him 12 positions. He is back in 14th in the final car on the lead lap. Fields on the front straightaway. Y'all at home, go ahead and crank it up. Back to green. Good run thus far for several drivers here. Let's pick up Wes Shire battling with Jason Miller. Miller in the Team Penske colors up on the outside of the racetrack. Shire going to be able to come through. Brian Labarge in the 8 wants a piece of the action as well. He's not quite able to slot through that gap. Inside of halfway. Still don't think these guys have enough fuel that they can go the rest of the way here, Patrick. You really kind of have to play the fuel management game at this point.
Yeah, you either got to keep it in 6th gear and just lay off the gas, or hope for another caution, or maybe even plan a little short pit stop, just slash and go, no tires, and get back out there and run. But this is really what makes these races very tricky, is you can't make it to the end on one stop.
Yeah, this is really where the thought process has to come into play. We were hearing in the pre-race about 22 minutes is what they could get on fuel. The reality is a little bit different. They were getting about 19 to 20 minutes, but that means we're only about 3 minutes away from the pit window opening for the final stops of the race, and they've only got anywhere from 7 to 15 laps on a set of tires. Show you Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay here. Kylo Ciacelli with a big move on Nagisa Yoshikawa entering turn number 3. He gets that pass completed easily. Going to put Kylo up to P2. That would be a first to have an in-race reporter win the race that he's commentating on. We haven't pulled that trick off yet. Remember,
you haven't had enough in-race reporters yet.
That's true. I guess a statistical anomaly is bound to happen eventually, says the law of large numbers.
Chris, were you about to rattle off a stat? I don't know. Your train of thought got interrupted.
Maybe? Well, okay, hold on. Kylo does have 3 wins this season in the Indy Pro 2000 official series, swept the Oval Week broadcasts. Is that the one you were thinking of?
It could have been that one. That might have been it.
I don't see any smoke coming out of the car, so it must have been Kylo blowing his own horn down the back straightaway here, the Milwaukee Mile. Go to this battle. Side by side, James Watson and Vic Aldridge, Nick Camargo, Stephen Thompson, Simon Fell, all going to be right there. This is going to be 10th through 14th. I would think we're probably pretty close here, Patrick, to the window officially being open, as we're seeing Nick Camargo and James Watson continue to do battle here in the turn 1 and 2 in.
Definitely open. I just don't think the tire window is open yet.
That's a good question for our in-race reporter. How was, not asking you for specific numbers, but how was the wear on the tires in that first stint?
And as we exit the corner, we check the numbers, and not too bad. I did pit a few laps early, so it's not as extreme as you would have thought it would have been, but it's pretty normal compared to what we were seeing in practice, so nothing shocking from that first stint.
West Shire inside the 8 of Brian Labarge. The NASA colors of the car on the outside. Homestead Coffee, Tales from Rukon on the 16 to the inside. Shire, a 3-time champion of the TNT Shock Series, trying to reclaim that title from Andrew Berry, who claimed it last season. Man, Labarge slides up the racetrack. That opened the door for Mark Dillon. Dillon getting a great run off of turn number 4. He's going to have the look down to the inside. And quite frankly, the hits are going to keep coming here for Labarge, because Camargo and Watson will be right there as well. Camargo now looking outside of Dillon. Take a look. Let's go on board here with James Watson. He was able to get around Dillon. Now going to have the look down to the inside of Camargo. Oh, so close to the rumble strips down on the inside. Man, you can hear him feathering the throttle, even grabbing another gear there in the middle of 1 and 2. Watson able to get that pass completed. Battle for second is raging once again. Nagisa Yoshikawa able to get around Kylo Ciacelli. Kylo looking back to the inside through 1 and 2. Andrew Berry not breaking out to the huge lead that we saw in the first stint. Oh man, a little interesting there. I don't know if Nagisa may have brushed the outside wall exiting turn 2, but really a big gap opening now up to 0.3 of a second. We may have had trouble for Ben Carswell here. Let's take a look. Don't quite see what happened. Let's take a look. Oh, Carswell just having an issue off of turn number 4, but he is now going to be well off the pace and now running at the back of the field. That battle was pretty good. This one's even better. Labarge, Shire, and Watson all nose to tail through the turn 1 and 2. And as we're down to almost 15 minutes remaining. Something, Patrick, we heard the drivers talking about. Oh, hold up. Kylo Ciacelli on pit lane. 15 minutes, 30 seconds to go. The strategy game is on. Ciacelli hits the marks cleanly this time.
The short pit worked before. Let's see if it works again.
So there's Kylo Ciacelli getting back out onto the racetrack. And he has not lost a lap yet. There's race leader Andrew Berry just at the far right-hand side of your screen. If the caution were to fly, Kylo Ciacelli is in great shape to take the lead of the race here. My goodness, Labarge and Watson continue to run side by side. This battle has been fantastic to watch from the back of the field. Well, the back of the field. 6th, 7th, and 8th on the racetrack is where they're running right now. .95 seconds the time of the stop for Kylo Ciacelli. Now, I don't think any of these guys towards the back of the pack would be able to try and make the fuel last almost the entire second half of the race. Mark Dillon making his way down onto the pit lane with 13 and a half minutes left to go. TNT Shock Series returns December 13th. A couple of weeks from tonight, heading off to the Motegi Oval. That will be our next broadcast with the TNT Shock Series. Watson able to clear Labarge and Wes Shire. Now Wes going to have to look back to the inside. Once apiece, so Watson through 3 and 4. He'll get the move done that time by. Top 3 have all spaced themselves out pretty solidly here. Watson again clears Shire into 3.
Watson is really on his A game tonight.
If not for the big mistake on pit road, probably could see James Watson contending towards the front of the field. I mean, 6th is not exactly a terrible position to be running in.
I'd take 6th over last any day.
Zachary Nuremberger on pit lane, the next of your leaders. First of your cars inside the top 3 to hit pit lane. Nuremberger hits the box cleanly. Looks like this one will be fuel only. No tires for Zach Nuremberger. He is down and away. 4.8 seconds the time of the stop. He is going to lose a lap to race leader Andrew Berry, though. Picking up our race leader. There you see Kylo Ciacelli just ahead. But I think it's just enough that when everybody else has to pit, it could work out well for him here. Second place running Nagisa Yoshikawa now on pit lane. Just inside of 11 minutes left to go. Looking like we should be right about 25 laps to go. From this point, Yoshikawa hits the marks cleanly. Vic Aldrich also on pit lane. Yoshikawa, 8.4 seconds the time of the stop. You see him falling the lap down to your race leader. And the question now really becomes, when does Andrew Berry decide to come down pit lane? Trying to wait out the yellow that could possibly come here late in the run. And Patrick, does that spook you a little bit as a driver, knowing the last time we got to the middle of pit stops, the yellow came out at a potentially really inopportune time?
It would spook me a little bit. You know, maybe someone just gets unlucky on their cold tires, maybe a little jumpy on the throttle, a little twitch in the leg, and all of a sudden you got the yellow out once more. It's not a situation I want to think about.
We'll go back to this great battle between Shire, Watson, and Labarge. These guys have been fighting like cats and dogs for the better part of 10 or 11 minutes now. Labarge continues to run inside of Watson. Watson able to clear, coming around the lap car of Mark Dillon. Only 2 cars out of the race at this point. Only, let's see, let's pick up our race leader here for a second. Up to 11th place, Nagisa Yoshikawa being scored 1 lap down. Kylo Ciacelli trying to avoid that same fate. Now down to 8.5 minutes remaining. When do the leaders come down pit lane? Lap car of Alex Teeter way up and out of the way. Well, trying to be way up and out of the way through turns 1 and 2. That's going to open up a little bit of a gap here for Kylo to try to hold on to that spot on the lead lap. I would imagine if you're Andrew Berry, you probably want to try to get Kylo a lap down, just knowing how the cycle of pit stops and the time that you're going to spend on pit lane. It may not be a huge gap, but just knowing that you've got the guy you're chasing a lap down, that's a big deal.
That is, and that would definitely be a huge goal of mine. But at the same time, that short pit number is arbitrary. Not discrediting anything to you, Kylo, but you know, maybe this guy you're lapping is at the bottom part of the field or the top part. You just don't know because you haven't been on the same page as him the entire race. You've been on a different strategy. You don't know what his setup's like. You don't know anything about him. So you might put him a lap down, and he might come back spring at you if the caution comes out. Or if the caution doesn't come out, then great, you put him a lap down.
Yeah, I would say if it was truly an unknown like that, I would agree. However, these guys run the officials together regularly. I mean, Kylo has, sweep the broadcast series wins. Kind of a known entity in some respects. And
yeah,
Kylo, he's not going to make it easy, that's for sure. Chopping down, taking a little bit of air off the front of Andrew Berry's car as well.
Block him! Block him! Oh, man. Yeah, Kylo, obviously a very, very talented driver. It's just a matter of... to Andrew Berry, if I was in his shoes, I would almost say passing Kylo, putting him a lap down just because he was the first to pit is kind of arbitrary. I like to play with averages, so if I pass half the guys that have short pit, I'm pretty good. But here we go, Andrew Berry coming down pit road.
Yep, 6 minutes remaining. Race leader Andrew Berry is on pit lane. Now, I would imagine this is a splash and dash only. At least I would think anyway. Yeah, the car not going up on the jacks. Berry down and away, 4.4 seconds. Quick stop for Berry. Brian Labarge on the pit lane as well. And Andrew Berry coming out about 7 seconds ahead of Kylo Ciacelli. Barring a pit road speeding penalty or something along those lines. Looks like this race should be fairly well in hand for Andrew Berry. And that really, Patrick, is the issue with trying the short pit is you're going to take tires. The leader's able to stretch, and he basically bought himself 4 or 5 seconds by not having to take tires and just doing the splash and go.
By not taking tires, you're buying time on the front end, but by taking tires, you're buying time over the long run. So if we stay green, I can see Kylo over here. I can see his strategy working out. But if caution comes out and everyone gets bunched together, I don't know, because at this point, the tires are about equal.
Jason Owens on pit lane. We are following race leader Jason Miller. 4.5 minutes to go. At this point, I would imagine a little bit of the strategy is even hope for the caution, because 3+ minutes of caution, that's going to buy you the fuel, possibly the fuel you need to get to the end, as we're going to see Miller come down pit lane this time. That's going to promote Wes Shire to the race lead. We get a caution now. Race could be over, or at least a very short window. And if you're one of these guys in the, running towards the front of the field, you're going to try to stretch that fuel as much as you can.
Yeah, I would definitely, at this point, just stay out as long as possible. If the caution comes out, like you said, race over. So if you're going to catch some people on pit road, that's freebies. That's free positions. Caution comes out, you've made up that spot, especially if you're Wes Shire. I mean, you've won the race pretty much. You can't win it now by pitting, so your only option is stay out as long as possible, hope the caution comes out.
Yeah, Wes going to stay out for at least one more lap here as we're down to 3 minutes remaining. Did he save enough fuel to make the end? That would be one of the greatest fuel saves we've ever seen in the TNT Shock Series. Currently working lap number 48 of this run. He was able to get 49 out of the tank last time. Nick Camargo coming in out of 3rd position. Wes Shire, Stephen C. Thompson are the only 2 cars that have not pitted. Thompson is gaining rapidly on Wes Shire. He's the 3rd car in line. Brian Labarge separating your top 2. Looks like Wes Shire's going to have to come down this time. That will put Stephen C. Thompson into the race lead. Lap number 100 going up on the board. We have not talked about Thompson whatsoever here tonight. One minute and 50 seconds remaining. The gap is 3.8 seconds to Andrew Berry. Does Thompson have enough fuel to make it? He is sitting tucked in behind Brian Labarge. I would imagine probably half throttle all the way around this racetrack. And here he comes this time. So Stephen C. Thompson will come down pit lane. That will promote Andrew Berry to the race lead with 1:15 to go.
Our boy Kyle is in full focus mode. He's 7 seconds back, slowly picking away at it and slowly losing depending on who's in the corner and who's in the straightaway.
After all the hemming and hawing of pit strategy, we are right back to where we restarted. Berry, Ciacelli, Yoshikawa, Miller, Nurenberger, the top 5. Should be down to 2 laps to go this time by, averaging about 27 seconds or so per lap. There you go, inside of 27 seconds left. So we may, yes we do. White flag is out at the start-finish line for race leader Andrew Berry. Leading 89 laps, he's going to try to get that up to number 90. Wes Shire led a couple, Jason Miller led a couple, led 3. Shire led 7, Owens led 2, Thompson led 2. But off of turn number 4, twin checkers will go in the air, and Andrew Berry will get the win at Milwaukee. Kylo Ciacelli down over the line now. He will come home second. There's Nagisa Yoshikawa to come home in the 3rd position. But let's pick up Andrew Berry as he makes his way back down the front straightaway. Light them up, burn them down here at the Milwaukee Mile. Bratwurst for everybody.
I can get behind that.
Put them on the tab of Andrew Berry.
I can really get behind that.
While he's making the donuts, let's get you your race results. Berry the winner by 6.9 seconds over Kylo Ciacelli. Nagisa Yoshikawa rounds out the podium. Jason Miller, Zach Nurenberger complete the top 5. 6 through 10 going to be James Watson, Wes Shire, Jason Owens, Stephen Thompson, and Simon Fell. Need Camargo, Brian Labarge, Vic Aldrich, Mark Dillon, and Peter Donchak back to the 15th position. 16 through 19 tonight, Mike Long, Alex Teeter, Rick Cleary, and Ben Carswell. Cleary and Carswell getting out early in the race here this evening. It was a timed race, so you know it was going to be 50 minutes to get this one in the books, and already about time for our victory lane interviews. And well, we'll start with our 3rd place finisher, since he's already here in the booth with us. Let's see, just getting everything squared up here for the replays. And actually, we'll talk to our runner-up finisher tonight, since he's here in the booth with us. Kylo Ciacelli, I'll tell you what, bud, fantastic strategy calls. You gained 15 positions after starting at the back. We were unsure if you were going to drive or commentate here tonight. I would say pretty good call here to get behind the wheel.
Yeah, I got to skip cardio day this week, I guess. That was a funny race. 50 minutes is a long race. You know, up in the booth, you don't realize it, but that's a lot of driving there. Tough track, and the right arm's a little bit sore from pushing there. So that was that was some good fun. Only got up to second place, but starting at the back, didn't really expect too much from today. And talking to you guys as a podium celebrator, that's a little bit better for me than just being up in the booth, I think.
Well, and I'll tell you what really I think sealed it up for you was the strategy call to short pit early. You got the well-timed caution flag, and from there on out, you were able to more execute on raw pace as opposed to trying to have to play a strategy game of some sort.
Well, it was at that first round of pit stops. I was not that I was held up in traffic. I knew I wasn't going anywhere. Passing was really difficult once you caught up to somebody, so I figured why not? 5 minutes undercut, not too bad, and I can stretch that and easily make the second stint if it went green. Luckily, I just stayed out in front of Wes, who ended up being the leader at that point. If that caution came out a lap sooner, I would have been a lap down and then would have had some trouble. But worked out for me. And then, the last stint, I knew I had to do something different. Very dropped the draft, and I wasn't going to win doing the same thing as him. So I knew I had to change it up, and I tried, and I guess it worked out. We kept P2.
All right, bud. Well, congratulations on the runner-up finish here tonight. And before we let you go, thank all the sponsors and all those names on the side of your car.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, thanks to you guys, my cohorts in the booth tonight. Always a pleasure to listen to you. Limo Boys Racing for help with the setup, and Team Watson Race Setups, of course, for the weekly Strength of Field sessions. Don't forget about Thursday Strength of Field session, the season finale at Mossport, everybody. We're going for the 2-3 and overall standings, so let's see if we can do that. Also, Choco Farms, Pit Viper, Petro Canada, and a cannabis retail store. Thanks, guys.
All right, buddy. Thank you much. We appreciate you checking in with us here. And let's bring in our third place finisher tonight, Mr. Nagisa Yoshikawa. And I'll tell you what, man, this race was kind of interesting. The car had a lot of raw pace, and then at the same time, it was kind of like nobody was keeping up with Andrew. So talk us through the race kind of from what you were seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like we had pretty good pace at the beginning of the run, especially. And I could kind of stick with him, but he just had a little bit more than everyone else today, and we couldn't do a huge amount about it.
How does the games of kind of the pit chicanery that we saw with Kylo doing the short stopping and some guys going long, and does that impact what you do behind the wheel, or are you kind of more of a, this is my plan, I'm going to stick to it?
No, definitely for sure. Kylo's early stop worked pretty well for him, and that's kind of what I was trying to do with Andrew. I figured I got nothing to lose, and I'm not going to beat him on pace, so I figured I'd try and come in early, throw new tires on, and just see how it goes, because my tires were falling off pretty good. It didn't work out in the end. I just didn't get enough really advantage from the new tires, but it was worth a try. I didn't have a lot to lose in that position. So yeah, I had plenty of fuel to go longer, but figured I'd try it.
All right, bud. Well, congratulations on the third place finish here tonight. And before we let you go, make sure you get all those sponsor plugs and thank yous taken care of.
Yeah, the usual Team Watson Racing and everyone there. Team Watson Racing setups, check them out. And then, as usual, everyone at TNT put on a great event tonight, and all the other drivers and everything. So yeah, big thanks and broadcast, all that. So yeah.
All right, bud. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you checking in with us here. And now it's time for us to talk to our race winner, a guy who was absolutely impressive all night long. And quite frankly, it's turning into a kind of, rinse and repeat here. But you were probably best in class, I would say. I mean, best overall, obviously. But it seems like you've just got a little bit tick more than everybody else out there.
Yeah, I guess so. I was kind of worried that I would struggle on the long run, but it seems like I was actually, I guess with the track temperature, I was better off on the long run than most. I would be I would be great those first 10 laps in practice, and then I always had issues with the car just snapping on me, come race time or come about lap 10 or 15. But yeah, I took it real easy when I got to that point in the race, and yeah, it otherwise was fine. I seemed to have like a couple seconds on everyone for a lot of the race. So it was really just came down to pit stops, and I didn't speed on entry for once, which was super nice.
Yeah, Dave Sparks calling you out early in the broadcast, saying the only threat to you was your own pit entry abilities. How difficult is that at a place like Milwaukee, where it's kind of like come off the corner and just make a hard left-hand turn and hope it sticks?
It's not as bad as what was it, Iowa the first week? Because you're at Iowa, you're going in pretty much blind, and you just have to nail that breaking point, which I didn't. And here, once you find the breaking point, it's just a matter of hitting it every time. So yeah, I did a couple rounds in practice, and once I was able to nail it, I was pretty confident about it. I think I took it a little easy on entry, at least the second time, with the lead that I had. But yeah, it all worked out in the end.
It was only 6 points between you and James Watson separating first from third entering tonight. Probably going to pick that up with James finishing in the 6th position here tonight. So is this now kind of back to kind of a sense of normalcy for you a little bit? Like, okay, now we can concentrate on winning a championship and not trying to gain ground?
Yeah, it was really unfortunate to start off on a back foot the first round. So yeah, it's good to have that lead back.
All right, bud. Well, congratulations on a fantastic drive here tonight, leading 90 of the 100-something laps that we completed. It was definitely impressive. Before we let you go, make sure you get all the sponsor plugs and thank yous taken care of, and congratulations again on a really dominant win.
Yeah, just thanks for hosting it, and yeah, it was a good time.
All right, bud. Well, we appreciate you coming to hang out with us here for just a minute. And Patrick, I know you've got to go. You got to get ready for the Fast Masters series here, but not a bad race here tonight. Well, I guess he's already gone. So
You already left us.
Yeah, he's at it.
I'm still here. I screwed around hitting the mute on my mic button too early. Yeah, a fantastically fun race. I was not expecting a strategy race when I sat down here tonight, but I was excited. That was a fun one.
Yeah, and Kylo, that's something that you can really speak to. We were planning on, we're discussing in the pre-race, 4 yellows are going to make this a one-stop race. And the way we saw people spinning in practice, it looked like this had the potential to be a mess. Instead, we had 1 caution for 5 laps, basically 45 minutes or so of green flag racing. That was not the race I think anybody was anticipating going in.
No, I don't think so, but it's not something that would be unheard of as well. This is the series that went 50 minutes clean racing at USA International. So, I mean, anything's possible. The guys are really good here, and I think everybody knows that practice is the time to push it, and in the race, it's a long one. We want to get to the end, so maybe back it up and not do those silly mistakes that we try in practice.
Yes, there is a big part of that for sure. And we got a whole lot coming up here on the National Racing Network for the rest of this week. Down to the final 3 rounds of the season for the Sim Racers Club Premier Series. Heading off to Homestead Miami Speedway tomorrow night for a 117-lap feature event. We're going to follow that up on Thursday with the Ezra IndyCar Series. IndyCars at Lime Rock. I cannot wait. This is another of our...
I might have to join that one. I love Lime Rock.
Yes, Lime Rock is fantastic. And it's one of, if I remember correctly, it's one of our throwback paint scheme nights where we're putting up $10 for a throwback paint scheme. I believe this is a best of all time IndyCar paint schemes. Yes, I am looking forward to that one. Well, yeah, sort of. It's sort of like we did with the Sim Racers Club. You got to catch my eye with something. There's a lot of yellow submarines on Trading Paints. Catch me with something that I go, ooh, that's cool. Also, we're going to follow that up with the championship round of the Indy Pro 2000 Championship. Same cars you saw here tonight, taking on Mosport. I love Mosport. Great place to crown a champion. David Porcelli, I think, needs to just show up, and he will claim the championship. He may not even need to show up, in fact. Oh, good.
It's close. I think Chris needs 216 points and David not to show up. I think that's happened once this season when we had a 3,900 strength of field. So if that's the number we hit, then that's the target there. But other than that, yeah, it's pretty much wrapped up. It's the battle from 3rd to 8th is about where you want to look for that one. That one's really tight there.
Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about that on Thursday night, a really insane points battle. And the problem is we won't know who wins because there's still more racing to be done over the course of the week. We'll have a pretty fair idea of who's likely to end up where. But, yeah, we're really looking forward to that one. And then that'll close out the week for us here on Thursday night. Like we said, a lot of stuff coming up here on the National Racing Network. You don't want to miss any of it. Also, some big news we're going to be dropping here in the next week or so as well with some of our plans for the 2023 racing season. I can't believe we're talking about it already, but that's what you got to do when you're in this business. We got to plan things in the off season. So we're looking forward to that. But now it's time for us to get the heck on out of here. For Kylo Ciacelli, Patrick Byrne, and everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will talk to you all soon. Have a good night, everybody.